best football program in the SEC Conference.
You have now arrived at Stadium and Gale.
The kick, it's been blocked again! How about it? It's been blocked again! It's going to heat one deep down the field. It's going to be to the goal line. It's going to be gone! It's a touchdown! And the Gators have won the game! Tyreek Cleveland! How about it? I can't believe what I just saw! Dropping back to throw. Pops and fires the ball over the middle. It's Dory! It's Dory! Got a touchdown! Dory got a touchdown! Oh, man! Dory's got a touchdown!
Ahmad Black, in his final game as a Gator, takes it all the way home and sends Urban out the winner.
You have now arrived at Stadium and Gale.
Boys and girls, ladies and gents, welcome to another episode of Stadium and Gale. It's your favorite Uncle Silk.
It's Dan.
And Nick.
Welcome back, Nick. Love that hat, man.
I don't know if you know this, but I was in Ireland.
Looks like
Kept the hat in Ireland.
Fred Sanford
Wow.
rocks hats like that, man. Look kind of fire. I like it.
Thank you. What a hater. Dan, just immediately. It's too early in the morning for this game.
Nick comes back off a 2-week vacation, and all of a sudden, all I'm doing is spewing hate. You know, my apologies, Nick. That's just not the way you expected to come back. That's on me.
You had to take on my role the last 2 weeks. I see. You can release it.
Yeah. No, we had a great couple weeks while you were gone. It was actually a nice, pleasant couple weeks in Gator Nation while you were gone. So please feel free to go and travel more often.
Hat's full tweed. Got to take it off. It's way too hot.
I feel that.
Appreciate Zach Albaverdi filling in last week. Week before that, we just did the two of us. Great show. And then we did a bunch of pop-up shows, Nick. I'm not sure if you know, but while you were gone, I think the Gators grabbed 4 commitments. So
Big
another
things
day in
popping.
paradise.
It's per usual. When Nick left, we had some fireworks going off. So
I volunteer. I volunteer to go back to Europe and back on PTO.
Hurdle 25, negative Nick back at it. So, Nick, before we get into the show, talk to us about your honeymoon and all of the wonderful European adventures you had.
Yeah, I looked it up. I left for Omaha on the 14th, June 14th, and got back July 15th, 16th, July 16th, yesterday. So like 32 days. I slept in my own bed twice. Have not been in Gainesville or home. It's been a whirlwind. Europe was dope. First time out there. Went to Rome. The Vatican's crazy. The Colosseum was really cool. Other than that, don't think I'll be going back to Rome. Knock those 2 off the bucket list.
Did you get some pizza?
Pizza in Rome sucks. Just let you know that. Pizza
Okay.
in Rome might be a hot take, might be a fire take, but I've never had a bad food take in my life.
Negative Nick back at it. Hurdle 25.
I've never had a bad food take in my life. The pizza in Rome sucked. The United States of America does pizza better than Rome. I won't say all of Italy, but Rome.
I've never been to like anywhere else, but from what I heard, our pizza is a little bit fattier, I would say. We've mastered fat.
Yeah.
So,
did go to Florence for a day, up to not Florence, up to the Tuscany region. We didn't make it all the way up to Florence, but Tuscany's beautiful. That's a spot I'd go back to in Italy for sure. And then we went to Croatia, 2 days in Split, 3 days in Dubrovnik. Those 2 places are beautiful. Croatian people, super nice, really helpful, friendly. And that was awesome. Got sunburnt, went and saw some islands, and then we went to Dublin. We're only supposed to be there for 2 days. Shout out to Aer Lingus for canceling our flight. We got a little bonus honeymoon. I had to make sure.
Aer Lingus is a wild name, but
that's AER Lingus is the Ireland's Irish travel line. They canceled our flight, so we stayed 2 extra days. Got a ride home on Delta yesterday. Dublin was cool. They Gaelic football, which is like a mix of soccer and rugby and football. They only play it in Ireland, but they have the championship in Dublin, so we were able to go to like a pub on Saturday and watch them. So that's super cool. They have 32 counties in the country, and you have to play the game for the county you were born in. So there's some like tribal stuff that goes on, and Dublin was a madhouse for the championship, and then we got back. Got to figure out how to get out of a 14-day PTO, not watching anything that was happening, and get back into work mode. Happy to do it with you guys, though.
Happy to do it with you, Nick. We're excited to have you, as always. And yeah, a lot happened. So hopefully you did your homework before today's episode. But if you didn't, we'll do a quick ad read and then we'll get right into it. So you have the next 30 seconds to go. As always, we do want to shout out our friend Alan Horn with State Farm Insurance in beautiful Jasper, Georgia, Valdosta, Georgia area. So if you're in Florida, Georgia, Tennessee, or Alabama, and you are looking for auto, home, renters, life insurance, maybe boaters insurance, renters insurance, whatever it might be, go give Alan a call or visit him online at alanhorninsurance.com. Again, that's AlanHorne.com for Alan Horn with his insurance. Or again, you can reach him at 706-692-2888. Again, 706-692-2888. So we appreciate Alan Horn in his sponsorship each and every week. If you are watching on YouTube, please hit the like button. Please hit that subscribe button. Please hit that share button. And we appreciate everything that you do to support Stadium and Gale each and every week. Let's get into a few of the announcements of the Florida Gators football team since we before we get into recruiting, so Nick can catch up there. If you look on Gators Online, shout out to Corey and the rest of the boys over there for putting out great content. That's only Florida Gators related great content. You will see their biggest weight losses and biggest weight gains of the year. So let's pull that up. While I do that, Nick, what are your thoughts on who do you expect from this list here to be a huge impact for their performance? So if you're listening online, biggest weight loss, Jalen Farmer's down 23 pounds, Dakota Mitchell's down 13, Christian Williams down 12, Desmond Watson down 10. That 439 number is still nuts to me. Justice Boone down 9, and then it moves down from there. But who do you think is going to have the biggest impact with that weight loss? You're on mute, buddy.
Hey, we're still shaking off the rust.
Still amateur hour.
Still shaking off the rust. For me, those guys, I think Damian George is a guy, Jalen Farmer guys. I think Farmer dealing with that arm injury. Interesting to see what he'll look like. He's down to 310. I think that's a good size for him. And then Justice Boone, it's interesting to me because he'll be playing defensive end, but I think there could be a lot of back and forth with Princey Umamilan and him to just switch from buck or edge to defensive end and back and forth. So can he hold up and play at that weight? 263 playing, defensive end, or is this strictly just a move to edge and he's trying to get a little more burst, a little quicker, a little faster? Kelby Collins too, it's only 5 pounds. But it's interesting to me when guys come in who are freshmen and they might have, especially offensive linemen, defensive linemen, you're as a high school player, you're just trying to get to a number, and that 300 number might look good on paper, but it isn't practical or doesn't look good, or doesn't play good on the field. He might have lost 5 pounds, but gained probably 10 pounds of muscle, and just kind of the way that you manipulate those numbers with muscle and fat. Something that I'll need to do over the coming weeks, coming off of this bender of a honeymoon. So to me, I think those are the guys that I look at. Richie Leonard, I expect him to be a starter on the offensive line. What does he look like at 310? It's only a 7-pound difference, but how does he hold up? Because this will be the most he's probably ever played in his career.
So, any big surprises for you?
No, I'll take
enhancements.
I do think the number is, it's important for certain players, I would say. Overall body composition, being able to lose fat, gain weight, like Nick said, is a thing as well. I don't care if it's just a pound, right? Anytime Desmond Watson lose some weight, I'm cheering. You know what I'm saying? Not just for football, but for life. You feel me? I think he needs to get in better shape. So glad he's down 10. We're going to rely on him not as much on snaps. My man Jack Pyburn, Don't mind seeing him at edge. I think, he needs some burst. 253 is good weight. Kelby Collins, like Nick said, like I'm with a lot of what Nick said was on point, so I don't want to regurgitate some of the same stuff. Dakota Mitchell is interesting from 198 to 185 at safety.
Seems light.
Seems light, right? He isn't the tallest kid, but 13 pounds is a lot for a defensive back. So interested to see what his body looked like. There was a picture of the secondary on the socials this weekend. He wasn't in that picture, but I do like somebody you can put on muscle, but then you're just a bodybuilder, right? I like the way these guys look like athletes, not just big muscles. So we'll see where we at with it. Just speaking, they don't have height, but I think Devin Moore grew like 2 inches, man. There's no way he's the same height he got here. I know guys like Miguel Mitchell is 6'2" easily, and he's towering the whole secondary. Like he's growing, definitely. He's got to be at least 6'3". So overall, hey.
Sorry. YouTube.
Shout out to YouTube. Overall, I do like, the way the DB room is looking physically.
Perfect. Let's go down. We got biggest weight gains here. Bryce Lovett up the most at 19 pounds. Justin Pellick, walk-on linebackers, up 18. Cam Jackson up to 371 from 355. The transfer from Memphis. Micah Leon is up 13 pounds. He's from Omaha, right, Nick? Is that the one from Omaha that owns the restaurant, or am I thinking of a different guy? Or am I thinking of Parker? It was Micah. Micah's the UConn transfer, right?
Yeah, Parker.
Yeah, Parker's the one from Omaha. Micah's the UConn transfer. Will Norman up to 293. Looks like a healthy weight. Princey Uman-Milan up to 254 at edge. I saw a mock draft the other day. Yesterday, it's the first all 7-round mock draft that I saw. Way too early, obviously, for that. But they had Prince Uman-Milan in the first round, which was cool to see. Ethan Pouncey up to 173, up 9 pounds. Caleb Banks up 8 pounds. Trayon Webb up 8 pounds. And then it goes on. Deuce Spurlock, the new transfer. Micah Mazuka up to 337. Any names that stick out to you guys on this list?
You want to go first since I stole your thunder last time, so?
Yeah, I mean, this whole list is impressive, especially because it's a bunch of trench guys. Cam Jackson jumping up 30 pounds at defensive tackle. I love that. Him and Will Norman. 16 pounds, I'm sorry. 16 pounds. Will Norman as well. All the trenches guys is super interesting. Jamarcus Weston, even though he's up pounds and he's lifting crazy things on the internet, I don't know where we at with him being a football player, but I love the trenches guys, bruh. This staff is big on size, but appropriate size. But as we can see in their recruiting process, that they love big guys. So this is good, man. I think our season is dependent on the trenches on both sides of the ball.
To take a different spin there, look at the defensive backs. Like these are the defensive backs have gotten huge. You look at Jaden Hill, who's been one of the most physically impressive. Like when he goes to like pro day. He'll have a crazy pro day with the numbers that he has and like his vert and his 40. Now almost 200 pounds. Jason Marshall's up to over 200 pounds. Jalen Kimber's up near $190. Devin Moore's near 200 pounds. Aaron Gates, a freshman, up 7 pounds, near 200 now. When I look at the defensive back room, I think, okay, these guys have been eating their protein shakes and lifting their weights.
Yeah, everybody's been in the gym.
Absolutely. Obviously a lot of impressive guys there. This is just during the summer. Obviously there's going to be some more weight changes. You're probably going to see some guys lose some weight during fall, camp and everything else. But, definitely impressive. Nick, you said what I was going to say. You're seeing some of these DBs getting to be up around 200 pounds and even, guys that aren't safeties and everything else, which I think is what makes that Jamarcus Weston or Dakota Mitchell down so much. Kind of surprising, but other than that, great size. But, now Florida has multiple guys in the defensive line that are at 325 or higher, 323 or higher. You have a bunch of offensive linemen that are going to eat up space. That's going to be a heavy offensive line this year. And after spending a few years watching what their line looked like under Dan Mullen and Jim McElwain. It's certainly nice to see some of these beefier guys that are able to move. But I'm excited to see Micah Mazuka at 337 as he comes off of injury. But ultimately, again, some thick boys with 2 C's on the roster this year. So we got Rob Cohen in the chat. Did you guys see Jamarcus Weston bench 450 the other day? I think everybody saw it. Pretty impressive.
I didn't see it. What day was that?
Saturday, maybe.
Oh.
Looked good. 450 pounds on the bench press, Nick.
That's a lot of weight.
Again, don't know if I need a defensive back or a safety benching 450, but the fact that he can do it means that he can do a couple 100 pounds more than I can. So shout out to Jamarcus Webbs.
I read that as Watson. I thought it was Des Watson.
No.
Yeah, Jamarcus's
Weston.
bench press was wild. I mean, that's
Des
more than
benching
double his body weight.
Des benching his weight wouldn't be impressive.
Yeah, I was like, so Des benched 5 more. Like Des did a push-up with
Jamarcus Weston weighs 235 pounds. It seems massive for
Got
a
long
safety.
arms as well.
Yeah.
Super impressive.
So,
I just need to see what he looks like on the field. But that's definitely a nod to our strength and conditioning staff. Dakota Mitchell's 5'11", so he probably trying to get more faster, I would say.
Yeah.
If he lost weight and that was the aim for him in the gym, because I don't think any of this is by accident. So if that was the aim, I think it's for him to get faster, if anything.
There is a question here in the chat. What did Desmond Watson come into Florida weighing? I think 415.
I mean, that's what he was listed as. But
Yeah.
I think it was Mullen. But he committed to Mullen, right? Yeah.
He did. Yeah.
I remember asking Dan when he was coming off a podium, like, hey, this weight for this incoming freshman might be wrong. He looked at it, and it was like
440 pounds is what he weighed when he enrolled.
Yeah, and Dan was like he was nearer to 500 than the 440. Or he said he was closer to 5 than he was 4 when he came. And it's obviously just a weight is just a battle that he has. And you see him get it under control for a while, and then it kind of slips away. And I know it's hard on him. And it's easy for us to say, just like, hey, just don't do that. And there's probably other factors that go into his weight. You want to see him get it down for sure. Like, he's very serviceable at that weight. How much better could you be? And then just from a life standpoint, how much of a better life will you be able to live at 380? You can still do your job at 380. And maybe even do it better than you are at 430, and your life expectancy and your quality of life will be better at 380 than it would at 440, 450.
Yeah. This is obviously we're in year 3, I believe, or is this year 3? So hopefully for him, he has an opportunity to look at himself and see that as an opportunity to improve and get out there. And, certainly I know Florida's working with him on it. But, all in all, some exciting stuff for the Florida Gators, good size and everything else for the Gators roster going into the fall. We have some new jersey numbers. Caleb Douglas will be wearing number 4. Arliss Borningham will be wearing number 8 this upcoming season. For freshmen, get your pen and paper out. Sharif Denson will be taking Trey Dean's number 0. Jakeem Jackson will be wearing number 2. Andy Jean will be wearing number 6. Will Norman, number 9. Kelby Collins, 11. Aiden Mizell, 11. Aaron Gates, 13. Jordan Castell, 14. Bryce Thornton, 18. TJ Searcy, 19. Trayon Webb, 20. Eugene Wilson, the 3rd, number 21. Cameron James, number 24. Dijon Johnson, number 26. Jaden Robinson, 29. Bryce Levitt, 53. Caden Jones, 63. Roger Kearney, 71. Najee Harris, 77. Tony Livingston, 86. And last but not least, Gavin Hill at 96. Do you want me to run through transfer numbers as well, boys?
Yeah, if you have time.
Sure. Yeah, I got time. We got JC Deacon in 30 minutes, so we got some time to kill. Graham Mertz will be rocking the 15 on his Heisman campaign.
A little insight into that. He did not pick. He didn't pick the number. He was just given the number. He showed up, and 15 was just hanging in the locker room. So I don't know if that's the move. If I'm the coach and I know the history of Florida, I'm like, hey, how's 16 sound? 14, 12.
Yeah. Well, he can't be. Well, man. Anyway, I like Graham Mertz, number 15. Graham Mertz Heisman campaign for him. RJ Moten 16. Taraji Mitchell 20. Deuce Spurlock 22. Jacoby Jackson 24. Cam Carroll 27. Manny Nunnery 34. Micah Mazuka 54. Lindell Hudson 74. Damian George 76. Keontae Goodwin 78. Caleb Banks 88. 99 Cam Jackson, and TBD is Quincy Ivory.
I like 34 for a linebacker.
Mm-hmm. 54 for a linebacker too.
Shout out to Zach Thomas.
Shout out to Zach Thomas.
I like Taraji at 20.
Yeah.
It's going to look fire next to Shamar at 5. I think that's a good combo of numbers right there. My man Jakeem Jackson getting number 2, I think is big news. From a lot of single digit, getting those numbers ain't easy. And also Artist Bornham getting that 8 should look real good in there. I think he's going to have a big season as well. Looking forward to him. Been seeing a lot of summer workouts. He should spring forward towards the top of that tight end depth chart as the season and as camp progress, I think, a little bit.
Yeah, I'm trying to look to see here any numbers or names or numbers that stick out. Love to see 99. Cam Jackson, think he's going to have a bang-up year. To me, that's a good, solid nose tackle type of number. You know what I mean? Number 16 at safety, is what it is.
Eugene Wilson, 21. I mean, get my guy a single digit, though.
Yeah, I don't see that number sticking.
I like it, though.
You do?
It's a little fresh on him. Yeah, I like 21 for him. We'll see where we at with. I think he should probably
21 catching passes gives me old school single T vibes. Like who's that catching?
But then we could say 21. Won't you do something for me?
Oh, okay.
Branding opportunity.
It's a branding opportunity. 21 Savage, and
then he'll drop the 2. He'll drop the 2 after Pearsall leave if he has a big season. You feel me?
21. What? Do something for me. Drop the 2.
Graham Mertz needs to earn the right to Eddie Pinero's number. Hey, Patrick, not disagreeing. Not disagreeing here.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure Purifoy is pissed somewhere.
Luchez up in the Canadian Football League pissed. What do you mean Eddie's number? That's my number.
Yeah. Shout out to Jaden Robinson, number 29. That was my old hockey number. So obviously success is going to follow.
Sure.
Wilson wore the number 21 his first 3 years in high school. He just likes the number. All right.
Shout out to Jace.
Shout out to somebody liking the number 21 as a wide receiver. Completely up to you.
We had some good 21s in Florida. You could go
Major Wright.
Fred Taylor.
Major Wright. St. Thomas Aquinas. Shout out to Mage. Yep. His hit from Oklahoma is the national championship is making the rounds again today. Always love to see that.
Yep. I've been seeing a lot of Major this weekend. Major is such a passionate guy, bro. His speech to his grandfather's funeral went viral on Instagram, bro. And I saw that. I was like, bro, anywhere Major go, it's just super passionate. He's a super passionate guy, man. So shout out to Major.
If I remember correctly, Chris Collinsworth was number 21. Maybe somebody can fact check me there.
White Lightning.
But I think Chris Collinsworth was number 21. JIT. I can say the word JIT. It's just,
Florida thing.
It just didn't work. All right. So
Doring wore 21, I thought, not
who?
Collinsworth. Chris Doring wore 21?
Chris Doring wore 21?
Chris Collingsworth.
Drifting.
We're gonna do some live fact checking of
not
Dan
Doran.
here.
I'm about to say Doran and I were 21.
He wore 28.
Yes.
Same thing.
Oh
Doran
man, this
played
is gonna
with
be
Fred. He
fun.
couldn't wear 21.
All right, so we do that. We present, share screen. Chris Collinsworth. There he is, number 21, Chris Collinsworth.
Look
White
at
lightning.
Dan.
Look at me.
Dan.
Look at me. Look at me, then look at God. He was there when my mom was in college. So anyway, so those are your numbers. Buy your jerseys accordingly, root them on accordingly, and then know that they can also change numbers between now and the start of the football year as well. So get used to the roster. A lot of new names that are on the roster. Speaking of new names, we are going to get into the recruiting segment of this show. Nick's favorite part that we've been waiting for him to come back for. But before we do that, we do want to thank our friends over at the Gataverse. Go check them out at Gata, Gata verse.io. They are going to be doing the Run It Back Classic this weekend at Santa Fe College. It's an exhibition game that's going to be featuring the Gataverse TBT team and other alumni members, including Corey Brewer, Torian Green, and Lee Humphrey. They will be able to do a meet and greet and get autographs with the TBT team at the Fan Fest. It's going to take place this Saturday from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. at Santa Fe College. And then after that, you'll be able to go watch them tip off and have a friendly competition. After that, they are going to be doing an after party exclusively for them at the Social at Midtown. So go check it out. Tickets are $10 for the Fan Fest, just for Fan Fest admission. For overall admission into the overall event, including the game, is $25. $30 for both. To just go to the game is $25. And then if you want to do the VIP bundle, which is a courtside seat, a VIP suite, Fan Fest, and after party, that's going to set you at $175. So again, go check it out, Gataverse.io. Go check out their event this Saturday at Santa Fe College. All right, Nick, Silk, we had the opportunity to discuss all three of these in some private episodes that we did exclusively on YouTube. So if you did not go check those out, please go do so. The Gators grabbed 3 commits last week, including a little bit of a surprise when they grabbed Fletcher Westphal, the offensive tackle from Virginia, on last Monday, beating out Clemson and Arkansas. I tweeted this the other day. Grabbing him from Sam Pittman, in my opinion, is a bigger deal than grabbing him from Clemson. But Silk, we've had a week to think about it. Thoughts on Fletcher Westphal for the fan base here?
I've been saying it for a while. I've been watching Sale and Stapleton, see how they step the game up. This year is a down year for offensive linemen, but I thought we needed to bring in a blue chip offensive lineman, especially at tackle. We got some guys that I do love in the room so far, but they're all developmental guys. So for them to go into town, for them to go into this recruitment, and I thought it was versus Clemson. That's been changed afterwards, and they said that Pittman was in Arkansas was the second team. But Pittman is an absolute legend when it pertains to developing offensive linemen. We did a great job with the family. I like the way the family was talking when they left the visit. Father is super active on socials with promoting his son and also the University of Florida right now. But this kid has a mean streak. He has the feet, the size. He's 6'8" or something crazy. So everything that you want out of offensive lineman, offensive tackle, to staple down things on one end, maybe left tackle, you got in this guy, man. We still got an opportunity to add to that room when it pertains to offensive tackle, but love to get. And I think that recruiting and offensive line is going to get better. I think this was a bad year for those guys to try to get better and up their game, being that the talent pool was a lot less than normal.
Yeah, but even if the talent pool is less than normal, I kind of look at it like if you're talking about a recruit that plays, let's say like small 1A ball. It's all right, cool. You're playing. You have to dominate the competition then. So like if you're Florida and, okay, we need to retool the trenches, get more players in there. All right, well, get the best of what's available and then use the transfer portal, in the offseason to kind of piecemeal things together as you need to. But if you look at it, I think Florida's putting together a really solid, first off, an unbelievable recruiting class to begin with. But then when you look at the trenches, I think you get guys like Fletcher and the other guys they've gotten on offensive line and defensive line. I think they're doing a really good job. And 6'8", 335, I say it all the time. Like, they've got a type when they go after these guys.
Yeah, no, obviously a huge get. Winning and beating Sam Pittman, like I said, is a huge thing. No matter what the school is, Sam Pittman is widely considered one of, if not the best offensive line coaches in the country. Obviously, very few offensive line coaches end up becoming head coaches. So being able to grab that is a huge win for the Gators, for Rob Sale, for Darnell Stapleton, and Florida as an overall unit needing to continue to build and develop talent. I think a lot of us would agree that Sale and Stapleton have great reputations for developing offensive linemen. Stapleton played in the NFL, played in the Super Bowl. Rob Sale has been an offensive line coach, offensive coordinator for a long time now. Experience in college, experience in the NFL, a lot of experience putting guys into the NFL and developing them. But now it's the opportunity where if you can develop a 4-star player, highly ranked, great skill set, great size, great motor, being able to develop those guys rather than hoping that you can win out of the gems or out of the weeds is huge. So great get for them.
Real quick. Back to the team. So I saw Hurdle said Will Harad's no longer with the program. That wasn't new. It was just he's not on the roster. Will was a part of the 2019 signing class, graduated in 18. He walked last year on senior day. A guy that I don't think he was on scholarship, but I don't think was going to play. Will probably look to graduate, transfer, go somewhere else, or maybe he's just done playing football, but he's not on the team now.
Graduated with a degree in criminology with honors, originally a 3-star out of Fort Washington, Maryland. Never really saw much playing time here at UF. So
criminology, maybe he can go up to Athens.
Maybe so, Nick.
So.
Let's see. The Gators then, not long after, I think it was on Wednesday, the Gators grabbed another commitment in Kendall Jackson, Thursday, 6'3", 250-pound defensive lineman out of Buchholz here in Gainesville. Again, 4-star guy, 3-star guy, depending on what service you look at. A guy who last year did a really good job, I thought, as a junior. Should have a good season for the Gators. But again, the Gators, Kendall Jackson said that Florida was his dream school. Florida doesn't seem to get a lot of the dream school kids, but Florida
that's usually a death sentence.
Yeah, it's a death sentence for Florida. But who was it that committed somewhere else and was wearing a Florida Gator backpack a few years ago? Kendall Jackson commits to Florida. What are your thoughts on him, boys? We didn't. I think I was the only one that did that video. So, what are your thoughts on Kendall Jackson?
Lamar Jackson wore the backpack.
Yeah, that's it.
Should have been a Gator. McElwain was
Lamar Jackson was like ready to play receiver for Will Muschamp.
No, he definitely was going to play quarterback for anybody where he went. I
think he just wanted to be a Gator.
He did. McElwain had him on the hook, but then all the leakage of all the information that came out of us chasing Francois toward the end. Drew Weatherford came in and made sure Francois attended Florida State, which turned out to be a great thing. But anywho, it was Lamar Jackson that we're talking about that wore the backpack.
I parked my car next to Drew Weatherford every day.
Was that the one that was in the handicap spot? You were next to the handicap spot? Or was that Chris Ricks? That was Chris Ricks, the handicap.
Chris Ricks has still got Lyme disease, I believe. Was that him? Was that Lyme disease guy? No, that was oh man, my knowledge of FSU quarterbacks is diminishing anyway. But yeah, no, I park next to Drew Weatherford every day.
Yeah, I'm gonna send you a nice ice pick, help you out with some tires. I'm just joking. Kendall Jackson was a really good really good get. for several reasons. We got to load up on that position. There's a lot of opportunity, I would say, in upgrading of that spot. His mom is a graduate from the University of Florida.
Mm-hmm.
Uncle was Aubrey Hill, so there's a lot of connections there. He's at Buchholz, which is a local program. Miami, Kentucky was the competitors there. Kentucky came in second. Kentucky coveted him very high, I would say, in this process. I know Florida was playing recruiting a little bit and had some other guys at that spot that was taking official visits. But as we started getting some commits, things started changing, and his date changed. He moved his date up to solidify him a spot. But an absolutely great get. I think he would be ranked higher if he cared about camps. He's just a kid that doesn't like camps and the politics of recruiting and rankings. Also, his dad is who I'm doing the new barbershop show with, his stepdad. So I got a connection with that family. Absolutely good get. I think we got a kid that's gonna come in with his hair on fire and ready to add to his legacy. And so, he looks at Aubrey Hill, who he's very close with, as was one of his inspirations. So very good get, man. Coach Spencer is killing in the defensive line room. Mm-hmm. I wish I had my old Twitter account back because I said it back in April. Like, Coach Spencer's about to go on a crazy run. And here we are, man. We're going to see if we can close it off with a couple more guys. Maybe we get L.J. McCray to make a decision before the season. That's not likely, but we're hot right now. We'll see where we at with it. But a great get by the defensive line. It's becoming one of our best defensive line hauls in recruiting of all time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think we've got Kendall as a 4-star. And I like that too. Just the guys, you're not going to want everyone from Gainesville, from Buchholz, or from Gainesville High School, but the ones that you do want, you want to keep them home. Shout out to Anthony Richardson staying home. But I think you're right, Silk. Like, every interaction I've had with Coach Chaos, high energy dude, super authentic. It does not surprise me at all that he's a great recruiter, because he just has a dynamic personality, true to himself, true to the way he is. Easy to buy into the kind of person he is, especially if you're a parent and you're, hey, where's my baby boy going? I feel comfortable, putting him in the care of this man. So I think as long as he's at Florida, he's going to, clean up and recruit.
Him and Armstrong on the same sidelines in the same defensive room
Mm-hmm.
is contagious energy, man, that we need for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And put a little respect on Jay Bateman's name. I think he's the local area
recruiter
guy
in the country.
Little local guy. Bateman
Y'all almost fired him, man. I'm glad y'all didn't fire him.
Not y'all. I'm not y'all.
Oh.
But yeah, Bateman's cleaning up. So it's a really strong, both trenches, offensive line. I think it's gone really well, and defensive line. The class is great and has potential to be even better. And yeah, moving on to Dan's favorite commit.
Yeah, no, the last one happened Friday evening at around 6:50 or so. Teddy Foster from Cardinal Mooney, defensive back, 3-star guy right now. We talked a lot about him. He's a guy that I've been plugged into his recruitment for about the last 7-8 weeks now. And a guy that, is going to rise the rankings, and I think is going to ultimately end up being a 4-star guy. A lot of people want to compare him to Jakeem Jackson. I don't want to say that he couldn't potentially have a very big rise in the rankings, but I want to tell you that they're different players. They're different defensive backs. Just because they happen to be from the same county and both play defensive back and committed to Corey Raymond does not mean that they're the same player or are going to be asked to do the same thing. So I know we want to make that connection. It's easy, right? The same way we like to compare, if you're a white defensive back, you're similar to Jason Sehorn. Not necessarily, right?
Not necessarily. Could be Sean Lynch.
Yeah. So, but anyway, 3-star defensive back commits to Florida over North Carolina and Miami. I know a lot of Miami fans were getting in their feelings Friday, said they weren't recruiting him. I can 100% assure you that Mario Cristobal and the Miami staff leading up to Wednesday were still very actively recruiting. If Miami fans don't like to hear that news, I would be more than happy to show you the text messages as well.
Is that what the shareholder meeting was about?
No shareholder meeting, Nick. You'd be surprised to know that we still have not had a shareholder meeting. And we still don't have financials for 1 year and 12 days, I believe, is where we're at these days.
I thought maybe you did have a shareholder meeting and it was just about who Miami was still recruiting.
No.
Okay.
So, Nick, your thoughts? Teddy Foster, Soak and I had a good conversation on Friday about it, but your thoughts?
I think it's a great player. And as Florida continues to try to retool, I don't know what the number will be, but you're going to lose some guys from that secondary. You had a really strong secondary class last year. And I think you just need to get probably 5-6 guys between cornerbacks, safeties, nickels every year. So I think that the Florida staff raved about him. One of the best players that, from one of the stories that Keith Niebuhr put out, it was called A Coach's Dream. And the kid's dedicated, a relentless worker. So those are the kind of guys you want to fill your roster out with and the kind of guys you want in your locker room.
Yeah. From a size perspective, only thing he's missing, I would say, is the verified speed, which his staff values. So I don't see the verified speed, but he came in, worked out, and when you look at his tape, his junior tape, I think is, speaking of him and Jakeem Jackson, his junior tape might be better than Jakeem Jackson. Jakeem has some verified speed, and he camped crazy. So his ranking went up a little higher. He had more opportunities. Teddy's a late riser when it pertains to getting his name out there. But when you look at the film, off ball, on ball, he played a lot of receiver. Once he's focused on one position, I think he knows that now. I think his DB film gets a little bit better. But you look at that film, bro, whether he's jamming, whether he's off ball, the kid could come up and make plays, man, whether it pertains to the run game, closing, ball hawking. And it's a lot to be desired, man, and getting him on campus. There were some comparisons to him and Jalen Ramsey as far as his length. So a very rangy kid, just how Corey Raymond likes him. And there's some other kids on our DB board that are ranked higher, but, we coveted him a little bit more. So we'll see where we at with it. There's an opportunity for us to get better in the DB room with the mainland boy, Zay Mincy, and also I don't know where we at with Wardell Mack. We'll see where we at. I think he's coming to the cookout as well. But right now, you got to love – I'm sorry. We got Jamari Howard coming to the cookout. So that's probably our DB boy right now. But I love Teddy Foster. I love this kid. Dan, you mentioned that he's most likely going to end up as a top 300 guy. I have that same opinion. He's going to be a 4-star top 300. I just want to see him lock down one position. He'll probably play 2 because it's just high school. They need him on both sides of the ball. But his focus will be primarily on defensive back now. We should see the film skyrocket a little bit in his ranking.
Yeah, no, absolutely. No, I think he's going to be a good player again. Just a couple years of true football experience. I think he's got a lot of good people in his corner as well. A lot of good coaches and additional trainers and stuff that are going to help watch him continue to develop. He's a kid that's not about a lot of the attention. He's a guy that just wants to focus and wants to get better. I know he mentioned during his interview with Keith Niebuhr, for his commitment story about him going and learning from Corey Raymond and his team did a couple of visits over the summer where they traveled to a bunch of different schools, including Florida State, Georgia, I think Valdosta State, and there are a few others. And each and every one, his goal was to try to figure out a way to get better and a way to improve his game and really dial into what the coaches were saying and not just make it all about me. But, also he wanted to commit before the season started so that he could focus on the game and on getting better and being a contributor at the next level. So congratulations to him and the Gators. So right now, the Gators sit at 21 commitments, I believe. 20 commitments, I'm sorry. Ranking number 4 overall in the country, ranked 3rd in the SEC. They just got passed by Alabama on the on-3 composite and have a 92.5, which is almost a full point higher than the class last year. 20% of them are in-state and 70% blue chip ratio. So things are looking good for Gators and recruiting. Any final thoughts on recruiting before we get to the next topic, which is welcoming Florida Gators golf coach and national champion JC Deacon?
Deontay Robinson is deciding on the 20th this week, which is I think it's down to us in Texas. Georgia and Bama were factors in his recruiting, but I think the final 3 may have been us. I think Bama's going to recruit him to the very end from what I understand, but A guy that comes in, we haven't got him yet. We'll see where we at with it. But I like where we at in his recruiting. He decides July 20th. Guy that's 350 from Orlando Jones. Keeping some Florida kids close to the crib is very important. But this is a real good and real important recruiting, man. Georgia's loading up on their offensive line, and they're going to need to with what we got loading up at defensive line. So we'll see where we at with it on July 20th. You guys stay tuned for that one. Big one on the way.
Not a recruiting note, but I think we got more than 100 people in here. Only 30 likes. If you're hitting here, if you're sitting
70
here,
70 haters.
if you're sitting here still listening before JC gets on, hit the like button. It's free. It helps get us out there. Helps with the algorithm. And also, Silk, I need a recurring guest spot in the barbershop.
Got you, bro. You got to pull up on us, man. Pull up Wednesday. We're gonna be in town. I was gonna hit you on the jack. We'll talk, man. But yeah, pull up, hang out. We're doing just for the people that Nick brought up, we're doing a NIL show out of a barbershop right there in Gainesville for NFL athletes, all the athletes on campus. It's called Beyond the Chump. Go follow us on Instagram, Twitter. YouTube hasn't dropped yet. We're going to drop it on the Roll Up Network's YouTube, but it's with me. And like I said before, it's Kendall Jackson's stepfather and his mom are the co-creators of this show. So it should be something dope. We're going to launch off this first episode on Wednesday. Got some important Gators coming up to film with us. We'll see where we at with it. But I think we got one of the best NIL shows in the country coming up, man. We'll see.
I love it. Well, let's get JC Deacon onto the show. But before we do that, I want to announce a new sponsorship with a former Florida Gator alumni. So if you're a sports fan and you are trying to experience some live sports games for Florida football, Tampa Bay Lightning, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Ohio State, maybe have friends and family up in the Ohio area, or the Cleveland Browns, go check out fangotickets.com. That's FANGO tickets.com. So if you are looking to sell tickets and you are tired of getting raked over the coals by the ticket marketplace fees, even those that claim to have no fees, I want you to take a look at fangotickets.com. Think of it as an Airbnb or Uber for ticketing. So again, go check out fangotickets.com. They're offering an exclusive offer to the first 100 season ticket holders to list their tickets on Fango that they will never charge anything more than the process fee for your credit card transaction. So go check them out. Again, think Airbnb, think Uber for tickets for the Florida Gators, Tampa Bay Lightning, Tampa Bay Bucks, Ohio State football, or Cleveland Browns. Fangotickets.com. What's up, Nick?
Think not dealing with Ticketmaster. That's the selling point. Right
As
there.
my buddy and good friend Zach Bryan would say, all my homies hate Ticketmaster. With that being said, we are welcoming national championship golf coach and second-time member of the Stadium and Gale podcast, JC Deacon. Man, it is a pleasure to have you, my friend.
Yeah.
What's up, guys? I'm seeing some swinging Gator gear there. I love.
Oh, hell yeah!
The best logo in college sports.
It's beautiful.
I just got back from Ireland, so now we are golfing in the 14th century, 15th century here, JC.
Look at you, perfect for this week with the Open Championship coming.
That's right, JC. Man, it's a pleasure to have you on again. Congratulations. The Florida Gators were not only SEC champions in golf, but also national champions, and also won the individual championship with Fred Biondi winning is the Gators' first national championship in golf since 2001, and men's golf since 2001. Also the first time that they won the NCAA individual championship since 2001. JC, man, it has been a fun few years watching you help rebuild this Florida Gators program over the last few years, man. What's it been like? You were on the show right 2.5, 3 years ago now. At the time you were recruiting, going out, really trying to build. It's really cool to see all that come to fruition. But what's been the last few weeks been like for you, my friend?
Well, it's certainly a dream come true is probably the only way to describe it. When I got this job, I understood Jeremy Foley was putting a really great responsibility in my hands, and to be able to fulfill on some promises and make him look pretty good it was really, really important to me. He's just one of the most amazing men, and I owe a lot of this to him, and super proud that we got that W. Getting a big bear hug from him when we got home back to the airport here in Gainesville was one of the coolest moments of my life. But I always thought we were capable of this. I started at 31 years old here at Florida, and I'm not even the same person or same coach. It's crazy how much I've learned and come along. And obviously, we added Dudley Hart as our assistant coach a couple years ago, and he's really helped me grow as a person and a coach, and brought some elements to our program that I think kind of put us over the top. But the SEC championship, the trophy's actually just over here to my left, so it's nice to walk into work and see it all the time. That was the one I really wanted. I think at some point you always hope you could win a national championship, but men's golf in the SEC, it's the best conference. It's not even close. The depth is just insane, and winning that title was everything to me. And John Dubois making that 20-footer on the 18th green there to finally put us over the top. We had been close a couple times, but that was kind of the end to me. And I remember 3 days after that, it was the Wednesday. We had a team meeting, and I said, "Look, guys, I gotta kind of refigure this and redefine this season for me, because what just happened on Sunday was my dream come true as a coach. I just wanted to win that tournament, and you guys did it and played that well at that time. But we got two choices. Either we can dig in and double down on everything we've done this year and see if we can't do something big at the big one, or we can just enjoy this and celebrate the SEC. And obviously the guys chose to double down. And we had a couple scares along the way, I think, which probably made the experience all the sweeter. Definitely being down and out to Florida State in the semifinals. I mean, it was done. We were toast, and we came back and beat them. I mean, it was you could not script it better than the whole thing happened. And being a national champion at the University of Florida that's pretty special.
JC,
go ahead, Nick.
Was there a time, obviously you're talking about just winning the SEC and wanting to do that and fulfill that goal. Was there a time at all where doubt starts to creep in for you, and it's like, man, you got the opportunity when you were so young, and is there ever a time where something creeps in, like maybe I just don't want to do this here. Maybe I need to go somewhere else. Maybe I just want to go back and play.
Yeah. You know what? There's two moments that I can clearly remember. The first one being probably the best team that I've ever had here at Florida was in the spring of 2017. Alejandro Tosti, Sam Horsfield, Gordon Neal, Andy Zhang, who won the SEC championship as an individual, and Ryan Orr was our team. They were experienced and extremely talented, and we're ranked, 2, 3, or 4 all year long. One of the best teams in the country. I think we'd won 4 or 5 times. One of those individuals was winning pretty much every week. And we got to regionals, and we were playing fine. I think we were in second or third place the whole week. You have to finish in the top 5 to move on to the national championship. And we just, the bottom fell out on the back 9 of that regional, and we didn't even make national championship that year. And I remember coming home saying, maybe I'm not cut out for this. Like, how can we have this good of a team and not even make the national championship, let alone win something? But looking back, that's probably a defining moment for me as a coach. I learned a lot about preparation, taking things for granted. And we probably don't win this year without that experience back then. And then 2019 spring, we had the number 1 ranked recruiting class in the country come in that fall in 2018. And the number 1 and number 3 ranked players in that class, they both kind of lost their game. And it happens in golf. It's not, football, I feel like a lot of the time, if you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but if you're bigger, faster, stronger, from everything I've read about Nick Saban, that's how he recruits. He's got, a certain formula for each position, and they're all supposed to be a certain size and weight and stuff like that. It doesn't work like that in golf because it's so mental. And we had a couple guys that they just lost it, and they weren't ready for the stage that the University of Florida is. And we were so bad that 2018, 2019 year. I think we fell to probably 40th in the country. barely made regionals, didn't even sniff making the national championship. And that's when I had that moment, Nick. I'm like, man, maybe I'm not cut out for this. Maybe it's just too big for me. But we had a recruit named Ricky Castillo sitting in the pipeline, and he started that next fall, and he won National Freshman of the Year, the Phil Mickelson Award, and he brought a type of swagger to our program and our team that just changed everything. And I'm so grateful for Ricky and everything that he gave this program, and so glad he got to leave an SEC and national champion. But it hasn't been an easy path. I don't think any coach at the University of Florida I'll tell you that it's easy, because the expectations are higher than anywhere in the country. But that's why I came here. That's what I told Jeremy I wanted, and thankful that we got to hang a banner.
I love it. JC, and then Ricky Castillo goes, he gets his Corn Ferry tour card and then goes out and wins his very first tournament that he participates in. So just a couple of months of huge wins for Ricky Castillo in his career. JC, want to talk about that from a coaching perspective, and as a golfer, not good enough to ever play collegiately, right? But as a golfer myself, I understand the mental component of it, but you kind of mentioned it, but you talk about the SEC. You guys were a little down and out. You really had to make a run there to ultimately win the SEC. And then stroke play, you're right there between third and eighth. And, so much can change, in each hole. But then you shoot the low round in your group in the third round and ultimately move on to match play. Then you're down to FSU. You guys ultimately come back. And then, against Georgia Tech in the finals, you guys are up. And then all of a sudden you look at it and you go from up 4, tied 1 to you win 1, down 3, tied in another over the course of 2 holes. How do you talk to your team about mentally staying focused and continuing to just play your game rather than, getting that doubt that starts to creep in?
Yeah, I mean, it's a tremendous question. I think that's ultimately the key in golf. I know it's kind of like that in every sport, but you just can't be focused on the results, and you got to be committed to every shot. That was our goal the night before, is let's go out. We understand we're playing on the biggest stage. You guys are on the Golf Channel. The whole world's going to be watching. The golf world's going to be watching. If we commit to every shot tomorrow, we knew we were going to have a good chance to win. So whether you're 3 down or 3 up, we're just going to commit to each shot and try and be in the moment. And it helped a lot because we had 4 seniors in the lineup, and it's like, any other sport. They've just been there. They've heard the messages for 4 years. They know what to do in the big moments. They don't flinch at all. And after that SEC win, beating Vanderbilt the way we did, we kind of came back against them. I think John Dubois was 3 down or 4 down in his match against Vandy at one point, and he won on the last hole there. So we'd had a lot of experience with being both up and down, and to our guys' credit, the moment never got bigger than them. And they really stayed focused, loved it. I think that's another big part of playing well, in big moments in sports is loving and embracing that challenge and the pressure. And the experience paid off for sure. And looking back and seeing the coverage, it was July 4th, actually, like Florida Gator Day on the SEC network, and we got to rewatch it. It was the first time I got to see it, and I'm only with one guy at a time, so I don't get film or anything like that. So I was focused on Matt Kress, but watching some of the shots our guys hit and the passion that they played with and the intelligence that they played with at this age, man, I'm so proud, and I think it was kind of an educational on, where our development and our plan for our players is working. And they were certainly ready for those moments. And hopefully it's an experience that they're going to take and build on for the rest of their life. And I think obviously you look at what Ricky and Fred and even Yushin's first tournament on the Corn Ferry this summer was a T12. It's really, really impressive for a 21, 22-year-old to do that right out of the gate. So our guys are ready for the next level and ready to be pros. And I'm probably as proud of that part as I am in the championships we won.
JC, how does we cover a lot of sports, and I play sports. So from a coaching perspective, I'm interested to hear what motivating golfers, what does that pregame speech look like? Because it's such a mental game. What does that look like from a coaching perspective?
Well, it's a funny question because
it's not Al Pacino in Any Given Sunday.
That's a good one right there. Well, that's probably what I've had to change the most because me personally, I come from a hockey background, born in Toronto, Canada. Toronto Maple Leafs are in my blood. I've been watching those games since I was probably a year old, and hockey's very raw. It's very physical, and golf just couldn't be more opposite. So I grew up around a bunch of coaches in hockey that were raw. When things aren't going well, you get in people's face, you get them fired up. I can only imagine, you see some of the football locker room speeches and stuff like that. That's who I am at heart. But golf is it's the complete opposite. And you need to remain calm in the biggest moments. Getting fired up and getting your blood pressure way up doesn't help you perform better. So I've had, I used to yell at the guys maybe more. I would be very emotional, get fired up in the good moments and the bad. So I've tried to kind of model more of the behavior that I want our guys to see on the golf course. And there's times where they need a little kick in the butt and a little loud mouth in their ear, but it's not often. And it was nice this year having so many older guys on the team. We had our culture in a really good place where we didn't have to do a lot of the policing. That was coming internally from the players. And we really kind of had a uneventful year with that type of stuff. So I found it works better for golf, modeling the behavior that you want to see your players have, and trying to keep your breathing and your blood pressure as low and as calm as you possibly can. That's going to put you in the best state to hit the best golf shots and make the putts when they matter. So trying to keep the emotion out of it and be as less Al Pacino as I possibly can.
JC, what is you've mentioned a couple of times that the roster was a little bit older. What was it like knowing that the guys that you had around you, whenever you finished that last tournament, they were going to be gone. Their professional careers were going to be starting just a week after that. So what was it like just knowing what you personally had gone through, what the guys had gone through the last 3-4 years, to end winning the last match of the year, and sharing that on the golf course, and then getting a nice jet ride home and just being able to just enjoy it as a group for one more time.
Yeah, Nick, that's probably been the most special part of all this. I'll never forget, I spoke about him already, but Jeremy Foley's just been instrumental in my life and my career. And we'd been talking about it for a long time. He was going to come and talk to the team and didn't know when. And he called me in February and said, "Hey, I'm coming. I'm not asking this time. I'm coming to speak to your team." And so he didn't tell me what about, and I wasn't sure. I was actually a little nervous because, as you guys know, Jeremy can really command a room and be intimidating when he wants to be. But he just sat these guys down and said, "Man, I've watched this team grow up. We all know how talented you are. There's 4 guys in this room who have already won tournaments individually, but you guys don't have a ring. You guys have nothing to show for this as a group." And he said, "Man, it would break my heart if you core 4 guys left this university without any hardware and without your names on the wall as a team." And it really struck a chord with our guys because, I think the opportunity was there. But as you mentioned, Nick, I think time was running out, and we all felt that. We only had 2 chances left to get a ring in the SEC and national championship. And I think that really bonded us together. Was we got to do this now, guys. It can't be wait till tomorrow, or I'm going to practice later. I'm going to work out later. We had to do it now. And Jeremy's message was perfect timing. And I'll never forget it. It's hard when you pour this much into these guys, and it's not just the golf shots and their golf games. It's, the ups and downs along the way. Some guys struggle with school. You help them get through that. There's girlfriend issues that you help them go through that. It's, I hope to be really close to my players for the rest of their lives. That's why I got into this, and that's probably the best part of it. But Ricky, we've won 2 points, and Georgia Tech had 1. So Ricky's 1 up and Fred's 1 up coming down the last hole. We just had to win one of the last 2 matches to win the whole thing. And Ricky stripes this 3-wood down the 18th hole at Greyhawk, and we're up there watching Fred. Ricky had been watching in his rangefinder, watching the whole match unfold, and we're pretty sure Fred's going to win. He needs 2 putts on 18, and Ricky and I are walking down the fairway, and I go, man, I knew it. When I met you, he was 11 years old when I met him. He was about 3 foot nothing. I said, I knew we were going to have a moment like this. I knew it. And we both looked at each other, and I'm not kidding. We started bawling like babies. We were crying. I
that's dope.
never cried that hard in my life. And he still had a shot to hit. And we get about 20 yards from his ball. And I'm like, dude, we got to get our life together here. Our eyes are filled with tears. We're shaking. And he still, if Fred 3-putts that, Ricky's got to hit a shot. So we regrouped. But that moment was something I'll never forget, because I think it signified how much we had poured into each other, how much we had poured into the team, how much we had poured into the University of Florida. And it was all unfolding in the biggest moment in college golf, and we were going to win. And it was something I'll cherish forever. And these guys are really special. And I think probably the greatest part of this national championship is no one can ever take this away from us. We got that, and we won it, and we seized the opportunity, and we're going to be a part of Florida Gator history forever. And what a way to leave the guys with, as they go on to the real world. It's the most meaningful thing for me as a coach.
Although, JC, I want to ask you, you mentioned it early on, and I would be remiss who my uncle who listens to this show, who's a much better golfer than I am, club champion, all that stuff.
Well, that doesn't take much, Dan.
Well, no, club champion at Golden Ocala. JC knows what that means. Anyway, long story short, he would be upset if I didn't ask about Dudley Hart. Dudley Hart, 4-time All-American at the University of Florida, played on the PGA Tour for a long time. You mentioned him coming on to the program over the last few years. What has his addition meant to you and your coaching career, and ultimately developing these guys?
Yeah, I mean, there's not enough words to describe Dudley Hart. I remember I got the job in June 2014, and when they mentioned it, I think he was probably the second or third person that called me or texted me and just said, "Hey, man, I know we don't know each other, but I love the University of Florida. I love our golf program, and I want to help. So lean on me whenever you want." And so we came pretty close after that. We're very similar. We both love hockey. He's a big Buffalo Sabres guy, Buffalo Bills guy, and so huge sports fan. And obviously we share a passion for golf and helping players develop. So Dudley started with us pretty quickly. He was our volunteer assistant coach, and he was still playing full time on the PGA Tour at that point in time. And he'd come up, once or twice a semester, and he probably after a couple of years, he's like, "Man, I love doing this. Like, I love seeing the guys get better. Love being a part of their life, love getting to know them, use me more often." So we became closer, and he started spending more time with the guys. And then I guess it was 2 years ago, right about this time, maybe a month later, Mark Leon, who was my former assistant, Mark got the head coaching job at FAU down in Boca. And then Mark just got named the head coach at Penn State University at his alma mater. So he got his dream job too, which was something that's really cool that's happened this summer. But Mark was leaving, and Dudley was up here helping me out. I called him and said, "Hey, Mark's leaving. Horrible timing. We got a week till school. Can you come up here and help me out?" Dudley's body was kind of breaking down. He's had like a spinal fusion in his back. He's had his thumb worked on 3 times. He had a bunch of surgeries. He's like Humpty Dumpty. They've put him back together. So I think his body was kind of telling him maybe it was time to do something else. So he said, "Look, it's perfect timing. I'm not playing anymore this year. My body's killing me. I'll come up and help you for as long as I want." So perfect Dudley thing. He lived in our casita. We got a little thing beside our house that he lived in for a couple months and did his own thing. But we had another candidate on campus who I was going to hire. Just an awesome young guy who was really up and coming in coaching. And halfway through the guy's visit on campus, Dudley walked to my office, closed the door, and I'm like, "Oh, geez, what did I do?" He's never serious. Dudley's always the jokester. He's never serious. He goes, "Man, I just want you to know the job that you're interviewing him for, I want it." And I'm like, "What?" He goes, "Why didn't you tell me?" He's like, "Well, I felt bad. I didn't want to put you in a tough spot, but I'm done playing. My competitive days are behind me, and I love doing this. I love the University of Florida. This place means everything to me, and I want to get into coaching and do this with you. So that was difficult because I had to find a way to get the other guy off campus without offering him the job. And anyways, so Dud signed on, and I guess the best way to describe Dudley is, he's a two-time PGA Tour winner. He's accomplished everything in the game of golf. But if the greens need to be blown off, or something needs to be fixed or painted, like, Dudley will do it. He is not above any job. He's a natural born leader. He's in here first thing in the morning. His kids are a little bit older, so he's not shy. He's got a great wife, Suzanne, so she takes care of a lot of the stuff at home. But he's the first one here every day. He pours his heart and soul into our guys, and I think that just stepped up the level of accountability here. I think a lot of our older guys were like, dang, like my coach outworks me. Like, that's sad in a way. Like, we got to step it up and make sure that Dudley's not the hardest working guy in the building. And then, on top of that, his knowledge about the game, all he's done his whole life, 4-time All-American here at Florida, got his PGA Tour card first year he left Florida, won pretty quickly, obviously had a ton of success. And, all he's done is be around the best players in his world, in the world for the last 30 years. So all that knowledge and credibility has been poured into our players, and it's helped. And I think they just started believing the message a lot more. He's added some structure in some different places to our practice. And I really do believe he took us from a good program to a great one. And he's promising me he probably wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't at the University of Florida. So I think he's getting some head coaching offers and stuff like that. But we got him for as long as his body can hang on. So hopefully we're gonna have a lot to offer these young recruits, as they look to pick a spot to play and develop their game over the next 10 or so years.
We can get into recruiting a little bit, but obviously the roster will look a lot different. And one of the guys you've mentioned a couple of times, John Dubois, he'll be back for his 5th year, I think.
Yeah.
Did you get on him? Like, golf recruiting is a little bit different than football recruiting, which a lot of our listeners are used to. And I say the same thing with baseball, but I think you were in on his recruitment a little bit late. And what has been just the trajectory and the arc of his career, as I think he'll be one of the guys that you look to as a leader for your team next year?
Yeah. Well, I'm a massive football recruiting geek. So I wish I had actually signed on to the show a little bit earlier. I heard you guys at the tail end of that conversation. I love that stuff. I'm fascinated with like the whole arena of football and basketball recruiting and where it's going. And I watched Billy Napier and what him and his team is doing right now. I love it. I just think they're going to be so successful. The attention to detail, and obviously, I think they're starting to catch the eyes of all the best players around the country. So I'm excited to watch football recruiting grow. But we got flat lucky with John Dubois. And it's another probably really good life lesson I learned as a coach. This was 2018 in the fall, probably the lowest moment I ever had as a coach here. We were playing terrible. Our 2 top recruits that I mentioned earlier had lost their game. I didn't know what to do. And one of the guys that we had lined up to come in our 2019 class, he got cold feet 1 week before signing day. And he's like, Coach, it's just too far. I don't want to be away from my family. And I'm not going to be able to come. And I just want to let you know. And in golf recruiting, it happens pretty early. It's 9th, 10th. Well, now 10th grade. We can't speak to them until June 15th after their sophomore year. So it happens a little later now, which is nice. They changed the rules a couple years ago. But before, it was 8th, 9th, 10th graders like softball. I know Tim Walton's kind of in the same boat. You get your team locked up really early. And this kid pulled the plug a week before signing day. So we had a bad team. My top 2 players had kind of lost their game. And now I'd lost one of the top 10 players in the country who's pulling the plug. And I'm like, man, I like you said earlier, I don't know if I'm cut out for this. I'm losing the team here. It's all falling apart. And I look back, and there's no way we win these 2 championships if that kid doesn't call and decommit, because word kind of got out that he had decommitted, and John Dubois reached out to us. And he said, I know I'm committed to a D2 school, but I've always wanted to be a Florida Gator. It's an hour and a half up the road for me. My parents love it. This is where I want to be. So I said, John, we got to do this the right way. You got to call your coach. It's very different than football recruiting. There's some unwritten rules in golf recruiting. Everyone, for the most part, kind of respects commitments. You know, when someone's committed, they don't recruit them anymore. And it actually couldn't be more opposite than football, I guess. But and hopefully I'm not a naive coach in saying that. We try and all follow the unwritten rules. But so John had to call his coach, decommit, and then came for a visit here. And as soon as he got on campus, he's like, you know, you can show me the facilities, you can show me around, but this is where I want to be. I'm coming. And if you offer me a spot, I'm coming to Florida. And I think there's something really valuable to that. The kids who really believe in this place before you have to tell them a word or before they see a facility, it means a lot to me. You know, obviously it helps them get through the tough times when they're strict. John was in and out of the lineup early in his career. And I mean, there was never a mention of a transfer portal or leaving. He loved this place so much and wanted to figure it out. So he just kept getting better. And he worked at it really hard. Fred Biondi and Ricky Castillo were his roommates. They've been roommates for 4 years. So he was around some really special players who I think, you know, maybe probably in any sport, you know, when you have elite players like that, they talk a certain way, they carry a certain confidence. And that started to rub off on John. He's naturally very humble and maybe shy about talking about his own game. Well, kind of an inner confidence started coming out. And then, you know, I don't want to say out of nowhere because he had a couple top 5 finishes, but I mean, he won the SEC championship individually last year. And that was like, whoa, you know, that's a big deal. We have the best players in the world in our conference. And he beat them all, shot an unbelievable 64 in round 2. So that was when it was like, shoot, maybe John's, you know, even more special than we thought. And then he's just absolutely, him and Fred were the ones you could rely on. I think, you know, if the guys were in a dicey situation or, you know, out having too good of a time, John's always the level-headed one that can say, hey, boys, we got to shut her down. And we got something bigger to represent, and we're going to do the right thing here. You could always count on him to do that. And, you know, you look at his performance this postseason, doesn't get talked about as much as maybe Yushin, Fred, and Ricky, but he was so rock solid. I think we counted pretty much every round that he played across the board. He went, I believe, 5-1 in match play across that. He came back in that Vanderbilt match from 3 or 4 down to Reed Davenport. So he just was Mr. Reliable for us, Mr. Calm. He's an unbelievable human being. I'd want to be his friend if he wasn't on my golf team. He's just a fun guy to be around and always brings a good attitude and a witty sense of humor. And man, I'm so proud of John. And when he got the opportunity to get that COVID year back, I thought it was a no-brainer for him. He's going to be kind of in the running for that PGA Tour University this year. And so if he goes out and has a great year and wins a few times, he'll have those same opportunities as Ricky and Fred and Yushin did this year. So I'm excited for him. He's our unequivocal leader this year, and he's got a great opportunity to step in there and be our 1 or 2 guy. So it's all up to him now. We'll see what happens.
JC, final question. Who are the other names that we should be looking out for? Obviously, you're replacing a number of your top 5 there, but who are some names that Gator fans should be looking out for?
Well, it's an interesting question because I'm, in a weird way, probably more excited for this season than I've ever been in my coaching career because to be honest, I think the expectations have been relieved a little bit, winning at the rate that we did this year and getting that SEC and getting the Natty. It helps a little bit build some credibility for our program and for us. So there's a little bit of relief pressure. But we have, I saw, the media is putting out their preseason rankings, and I hadn't seen us in any of the top 10 rankings. And I've been posting them in our team chat every single time they come out and keep telling the guys, no one thinks we're going to be any good, boys. Like, zero respect for you guys. And I don't probably know the names of what the lineup's going to be yet, but I got a feeling we're going to be really, really good. We got 3 freshmen, 2 from the state of Florida, 1 from Virginia, who are unbelievable. All 3 of them swing really fast, have a ton of power, great technique. So I got a feeling it's hard at this level, but I got a feeling at least 2 of them, maybe all 3 of them will make an impact on us this year. Luke Poulter, his dad, obviously big name. Ian Poulter's doing some great things on the Live Tour now. His son redshirted last year. Luke, no one knows about Luke, and he's unbelievable at golf. He's been around the best players in the world his whole life, and the kid can really play. So he's obviously got a chance to make an opportunity for himself and make a name for himself. And then we dipped into the portal, and we got the number 1 ranked player out of the transfer portal, and Ian Gilligan. Ian signed with us about a month ago, and he was ranked 13th in the whole country last year. So adding a player like that was big time. And I think Ian's got a chance to really elevate his game and make it a name for himself here. So I don't know who the lineup's going to be and what it's going to shake out. I really don't. I truly believe that. And we'll let the guys' golf scores figure that out. But by the time March and April rolls around and Duds and I have had a chance to develop them for a few months, I got a chance we're gonna surprise some people and hopefully have a couple of those media guys eat crow about not putting us in those rankings.
I love it. Well, I know Yushin Lin came from USC, right? So he had a great career after transferring from over there, and then hopefully we can see that from the Long Beach State, I believe, transfer, right? So, JC, man, it was an absolute pleasure to have you on this week, and congratulations to you and the team. And it's awesome to watch. We sponsor a guy. The company I work for sponsors a guy on the Corn Ferry. So it's really cool to watch each and every week, and then watch Ricky Castillo come out and Yushin Lin and the rest of the guys get into their professional career and start rocking. So, JC, it's been awesome to watch over the last few years. Congratulations to you and the team, and we'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, my pleasure, guys, and keep up the great work. The passion y'all pour into the Florida Gators is amazing. Proud to have you guys wearing our logo, like I told Nick. He tweeted something about it a couple months ago, and it went viral, and it all helps us build the brand. But love the Gators, love that logo, and really, really appreciate you guys having me on. Hopefully I didn't talk too much.
No,
you're great.
Great.
Best logo in sports.
All right. Thanks, guys. Have a great day.
See you,
Thanks,
brother.
JC. That interview was like firing a 59, Dan.
Yeah,
That's
something that I've not yet done.
Interview. Maybe in a putt-putt course.
Yeah, maybe. But man, what a good conversation. Silk Ahmad and I had that conversation with JC a few years ago. Very enjoyable then, but certainly as a national champion. And then Nick, as your interest in golf is certainly a little bit stronger than Ahmad's interest in golf was at the time. Conversation went really well. So it's great to chat with JC. Boys, let's get into a couple more ad reads, and we'll get to the end of the program here. Let's give a shout out to our friends over at Alumni Hall. Go visit alumnihall.com for your latest and greatest in all Florida Gators apparel, accessories, cookout, tents, chairs, all that kind of stuff that you're going to need for tailgate season. Gentlemen, we are like 6 weeks away from the start of football season. So no better time to check out your coach's polos, your Nike, your Champion, your Cutter and Buck, and everything in between. Go check out alumnihall.com or go visit them on Archer Road in Gainesville, Florida. All right. Let's see, gentlemen. Cole Kubelik ranks the top 5 SEC stadiums to play in. Number 5, Ben Hill Griffin. Number 4, LSU. Number 3, Sanford Stadium, where Georgia plays. Number 2, Tennessee, and then number 1, Alabama. What do you guys think of that order? I don't know if I agree 100%.
I think a lot of that is where Cole played. Cole played at Auburn, so the atmosphere for the Iron Bowl at Bryant-Denny Stadium for an Auburn offensive lineman has to be one of the unrivaled experiences you can have.
Sure.
That's just unbridled hate. Me personally, and mine's not coming from playing in, so mine's way different. I'm sitting up in the press box. 1A, 1B, Ben Hill Griffin Stadium and Tiger Stadium. There's no better experience. I've been to 12 of the 14. Haven't been to Auburn. Obviously, haven't been to Georgia. Mm-hmm. There's no better environment. And I think 2A, 2B, or 3A, 3B, however that math works out, would be Tennessee and Alabama.
Yeah.
Neyland Stadium, it gets loud. I think it's just the way the stadiums are constructed. Neyland and Alabama kind of go out, while Tiger Stadium and Ben Hill Griffin Stadium are just built straight up, and it kind of keeps the noise in, reverberates. But to me, those are the top four in my mind. Best city is obviously Nashville and Vanderbilt. That's the worst stadium atmosphere, though. I think I didn't get really an Ole Miss experience because it was during COVID, but I think that might be cool. But that's a smaller stadium. To me, the top four in the first class are Florida, LSU, second class, Tennessee, Alabama.
Yeah, no, I think Nathaniel Rogers says the team with the best players is the stadium most feared. I would agree. I do agree with Nick. I would put LSU at number one. I would put Ben Hill Griffin number two. There's just something about LSU. I think its entire atmosphere, that night game in Tiger Stadium, in my opinion, is probably the most revered college football atmosphere that you can imagine. That's a very close second with Florida. There's nothing wrong with Florida. It's just a little bit different.
I'll say this: if you're a Florida fan, I've never had a bad experience with LSU fans. I see some people say they're the worst, and it might be like banter between back and forth. But if you're a nice person before the game in Baton Rouge, all they want to do is feed you and show you their culture. And it's some great food down there. So if you're just a nice person, just putting out good vibes, you're going to get fed on your way to the stadium. They might touch on your out or the full of July. It's all right.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts?
I think I need to visit more stadiums.
Yeah.
That's my thought. I don't want to just throw some. I'm gonna say Ben Hill one because
that's what
how many away games do I go to, man? I'm a home game guy, so I need to get into some more away stadiums just from a TV vibe and watching games. From that perspective, like Dan said, LSU Stadium rocks. And then I also, in my mind, everybody in the stadium speaks like the one guy from Waterboy. So that's intimidating as well. Not hearing good English. So I got LSU high. You hear? I don't know of a SC stadium that doesn't rock, right? So I just got to go to more games. That's my opinion. I heard Tennessee, just from how much the capacity standpoint that it could be intimidating the way that stadium set up. But I like Nick's perspective as well. Cole Cubic played. He could be a little biased, and he also played in those stadiums. But I got to go to more away games. That's my take.
Yeah, I would say if we're talking worst, I would say that Vanderbilt's obviously the worst. It just is what it is, right? Small school, fan base that's not interested, many other things to do in Nashville. And for the most part, weather not great. What?
No.
Elite city. An elite city. It gets cold. It gets rainy weather in Nashville. An elite city, not elite weather. Mizzou, also not a great place. Stadium's kind of sunken in a little bit. Columbia's not your traditional SEC college town.
Bad town.
I will say this, Texas A&M fans, maybe one of you are listening to this show right now. First off, you're involved in a cult. Seek help. Number two, wasn't as impressed with Texas A&M as I thought I might be when I saw a game there. It was pre them joining the SEC. This would have been in 2011, but was not as impressed as I thought I would be in College Station.
Nobody puts the cult in agriculture quite like Texas A&M, Dan.
I love that quote. They should put it on a T-shirt, and they should just make it maroon and white, and all of their fan base would wear it. I'm not kidding. When I was there during the week, and then I was also there on a weekend. Their student population, without a doubt, I am not making this number up, 90+% of students were wearing Texas A&M things just on a random day.
Yep.
I have never seen a school that has more, I don't even want to call it pride, just more laser focus on two colors than Texas A&M does.
It was a really good environment last year when we were there. The team was terrible. They were missing more than half of their starters, and it was raining. And
they caught the
people just stood there and watched the game, and they did their their war chant back and forth. The stadium rocked. But I can echo that sentiment. Like, it's not like not having school pride, but if I went on campus right now, like you'd see students wearing a red shirt, not like a Georgia shirt, but just a red shirt or a pink shirt. You only wear, there's like only two colors to be worn in College Station. You're wearing maroon or white. And if it's a white shirt, it's got some kind of Aggie or an A&M logo on it.
Yep. So that leads to that. Don't think that we have anything else, Nick.
Media Day's Wednesday.
Say what?
Media Day Wednesday.
Oh, sorry. Media Day's Wednesday.
Media Day starts today.
Right. Yeah. Media Day for the Gators.
Yeah, but Florida will speak on Wednesday, or Billy Napier and the Florida Gators will be there on Wednesday. Zach Albaverdi's taking the reins for us. I'm going to be able to stay at home and help Zach out from home. It'll be the first time I'm not at SC Media Day since 2013, but with all the traveling, I'm done. Yeah. Thankful that they're just letting me, sit this one out and watch from home. In
Nick's favorite city. It is at the Grand Hyatt in downtown Nashville. Jason Marshall, Ricky Pearsall, Kingsley Iguacan, and Billy Napier will be representing the Florida Gators. You surprised by any of those names?
No, Billy Napier, and I'll say this, Billy Napier views this as a reward for older players. I'm not surprised that you're not bringing a quarterback. While we all expect Graham Mertz to be the Gators starting quarterback, you bring a quarterback to Nashville, you are announcing him as your guy. You're announcing him as the leader of your team and your starting quarterback. Billy Napier, while we expect it, has not named Graham Mertz a starter, so I don't expect him to bring Graham, despite Graham being an older player going into his fourth year.
Maybe Nashville can't handle Mertz mania,
Yeah.
Maybe you're just not ready.
But Ricky came back for his fifth year. Kingsley is a senior. So, no, I'm not surprised at the guys that they're bringing at all.
So
I want to see it. No, I'm not surprised. I want to hear these guys speak, from just of who they are standpoint. I think it's good who we got going. Jason Marshall isn't a outgoing guy on socials or anything like that. So I'm interested to see what he has to say out there in Nashville. And also Ricky Pearsall. What they wearing? I think them boys gonna come super dapper per usual. Who y'all got for best beforehand?
I think I'm gonna go. I think I got to go Slick Rick.
Slick Rick.
It's just something about the name Slick Rick. I almost went with Jason Marshall. Kingsley just seems like a meat and potatoes type of guy.
He can't really call. Yeah, Hong Kong Andy don't really have a lot of shit in his arsenal for big guys like that on deck. So.
Yeah, that's a lot of fabric. A lot of fabric to ship over from Hong Kong.
So. A lot of threads, man.
I'll break this down. Kingsley is going to be the most professional. Like you could take Kingsley's outfit and put him into an office right now.
Yeah,
he's going to look good. Dad. He's going to look good. But yes, a Brooks Brothers dad. Jason Marshall, there won't be socks. It'll be like a slide on, like a slipper, no socks, some additional drip.
Absolutely.
Ricky is liable to come out in some gray pants with an orange suede jacket, no shirt under it. Yeah. So Ricky will be the youngest hip looking. Jason Marshall will have subtle hints of swag, and Kingsley will look like he's ready to hit the floor in day trade.
I watched both Ricky and Jason Marshall's pregame a lot last year. Seeing what they came in. Both were pretty dapper. To keep it a bean, I think it's gonna be a close match. But if I had to go with one, Pretty Ricky is a hard one to go because he puts a lot of effort into each game. Coming super duper fly, man. So I don't think he's gonna come half stepping at all. But
both of those guys, Jason. Both of those guys are also jacket turtleneck guys.
Right. I don't know if you want to do that. You might. It's hot.
It's a little bit nicer. Well, listen, they're getting.
It's not nicer in Nashville, Nick.
They're getting on a I almost said bus. They're getting on a bus to.
They're getting on the citation.
They're getting on a bus to the airport, a PJ to another bus in Nashville, and then into a hotel. So there's not a lot of outside time.
If they wear a turtleneck, TSA is going to hold them hostage for sure, man.
Hey, they're flying private, baby. There ain't no TSA.
Oh my God!
Somebody's gonna call the cops.
That's
They wear
nuts,
turtlenecks
Nick.
in July.
Athens PD will be right on the case.
Absolutely.
All right, gentlemen. Let's see one final ad read, and then we will get out of here. I think it's my song of the week. Yeah, it is. So, as always, want to give a final shout out to our friends over at Home Field Apparel. Go visit them at homefieldapparel.com. Use promo code Stadium and Gale and get 15% off your order. They have 20 different UF vintage logo T-shirts, sweaters, and those baseball 3/4 tee shirts that you can look at. Go check them out. Homefieldapparel.com, promo code Stadium and Gale. Get you 15% off of your first order. They have a bunch of other schools, and they also have the Indianapolis Colts should you want to go root on Anthony Richardson and his team. So again, homefieldapparel.com, promo code Stadium and Gale. And let's see, song of the week this week is we will play Let You Down by Young Bombs featuring Deza. That's a great new little EDM, a little housey. And by the way, if you're in Tampa on September 1st, Two Friends, the group that I went and saw at Red Rocks at the end of May, is going to be in Tampa. I will be there. Got table, got VIP service, ready to rock and roll. You boys are invited too if you want to come. But September 1st, go check out Two Friends.
September 1st, I believe I'll still be in Utah.
You will be in Utah. Yep.
So will I.
Yep.
Hey,
you guys will be in Utah. You guys will be
Big
in
mountains, man. I'm all about the mountains in 2023. We're going to go out there and see some mountains, and we're going to beat the snot out of some utes. What the fuck is a ute?
Ute?
Sorry, I didn't curse.
hey, they do like
native
a UM thing, but just with the one finger.
I
on
know
each
what a
side.
ute is. I just said that last year.
I don't know what a ute is.
It's a tribe.
Yeah, it's a indigenous people's tribe.
Shout out to the tribe.
About to be a ran down on tribe in September, bro. We're gonna kick this thing off with a win.
It's true.
You
But if
heard
you watch
it
My
first.
Cousin Vinny, he said a ute.
What are you doing?
Yeah, utes. All right, boys. We will see you at the same corner, same time next week, unless, of course, we get another commitment, which you will see us do a quick pop-up show on that. Same
See
corner,
y'all
same
on the
time next week.
20th.
Yep. Nick, glad to have you back, buddy.
Glad to be back.
Put the hat on one time before we leave, Nick.
Okay.
Yeah, we got to screenshot this.
Your boy's looking good.
I ain't gonna lie, that shit kind of dapper, bro. I ain't gonna lie to you, bro.
Looking good. Dan, hating ass Dan. Can't touch this hat.
Well, if you are still here, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, share with your friends. Thanks for your time, and we will see you guys next week.